Alright guys, well, welcome to the book club this month. Book we read, Why We Get Fat and What to Do About It by Garry Taubes. So, show of hands, who read it? Everybody? Alright, very good, very good. Alright, so one of the things in the book they talk about, calories in, calories out. Does it really matter? I don't know. It kind of convinced me that calories really don't matter. It's not about the calories, because people will say, well, it took in more calories, I'm eating less, but one or the other. And when you look at it, like decreased calories equals decreased energy. So if you're not taking in the same amount to fuel your body's just not going to want to do anything. It's going to stop. It's going to shut down. Whatever it may be. So if you're trying to exercise on top of cutting calories, well, something's going to give. Something's got to give at this point. So trying to exercise really hard, trying to cut your calories, and you're just crashing. You're tired all the time, you're fatigued. That's not really a great way to lose weight. And that's even if your body can. Because your body's smart. It's going to adapt. It's going to find a way to get those calories from somewhere. And by doing that, it's going to just maybe not repair the cells that it needs to. It's just going to start breaking down, and that's what's going to lead then to more problems. Beyond that, you're going to get a chance of getting injured when you're working out and you go up. You're not going to get the recovery from all the muscles, everything like that. Your organs need it, so they're going to be stealing it because they are to the muscles, to the joints, to the bones, everything else that needs to recover as well. You're hungry after doing so too. So it's another one, like almost a double-edged sword. So you're hungry going into it. You're getting more hungry as you work out. What's really going to give here? And then the other thing you have to look at is weight loss versus fat loss. If you're starving yourself to try and exercising, well, are you losing weight or are you losing fat? This is going to be big, because just losing weight doesn't really matter. You could be losing a lot of muscle, it could be causing just more damage to your body again. But if you're still skinny fat at this point, it doesn't really matter. I mean, you're still going to have a lot of risk factors, because just your weight is going to be risk factors for heart disease, a lot of other things. So if you really haven't improved your body composition at all, it doesn't really help anything out too. And then the whole calories in, calories out thing too. If you look, he points out people that live in poverty, they're still obese. How does this happen? Like, how can you still be malnourished and fat at the same time? So it's one of those things like, yes, the kids, a lot of times that are in poverty, extremely skinny, there's nothing to them. Then as they age, they just get this big pop out, like still malnourished, because they're still trying to rob these, the rest of their body is falling apart. There's no muscle mass, there's nothing else there, because their body is trying to hang on to what it has so hard that it's just going to be storing everything as fat. Nothing else is going to be done. There's not going to be any other repair going on. So this is another thing, looking at just that calories in, calories out doesn't always add up really. Another thing he talks about is genes, like just are we meant to be big, or are we meant to be small? One of the quotes, we don't get fat because we overeat, we overeat because we're getting fat. This is something, it's still hard for me to even wrap my head around it. Because I kind of counteract with this, well, if we don't eat because, well, you look at it, we don't get skinny because we undereat. We undereat because we're getting skinny. You kind of look at it that way, then it doesn't add up to me. So this one still is tough for me to completely understand. But like some of the examples that he uses, like one is a whale. Why is a whale so big? I mean, it just is. Like, is it growing because it's eating so much, or is it eating so much because it's growing? And it comes out and it's just growing. It's eating thousands of pounds of food a day. Would it just stay the same size and be healthy, be normal, if it just took in a fraction of the food? It's tough to say. Another thing he talks about is kind of being programmed for skinny, programmed for fat, big, large, all in between. He uses a marathoner as an example. And I'm not a huge fan of this either, because I feel like we can still change our genetic makeup. We're probably not going to change so much our height, like our width, that kind of thing, but how much muscle mass we put on, how lean we can be. I still feel that these can be manipulated. And that's going to come into hormones a lot too. I'm going to talk about hormones in a little bit, but the way that your hormones affect your body composition are huge. So I feel like somebody that is programmed for being skinny, using the example as a marathoner, I don't completely agree with, because you can always kind of get your body down to that. You may not be able to shrink your height, or you may not be able to grow taller, like you want to play basketball or something like that, but you still have a genetic potential where you can still max that out, one extreme or another, where you can get as lean as you need to be, get as big as you need to be, and that's why I think genetics are part of it, but it's not really the only thing that comes into play. So why we get fat? Perhaps the biggest thing that I take away from this is insulin. Insulin rules all. As far as hormones go, insulin really just is above all and be all. It's number one. Why? It regulates blood sugar. If your blood sugar jacked up, you just ate a bunch of carbs, your body's going to be throwing insulin out. Throwing it out. What's it want to do with that? It wants to store it. Wants to put it wherever it can. What's it going to go into? It's going to go into the fat. It's going to go into the muscle. It's going to go into your organs. That's where it's needed. That's where it's going to be stored. There's only so much that your muscles can take up. There's only so much glycogen that your liver can absorb at this point. So where does it go? It goes into fat cells. The body creates new fat cells, whatever it needs to hang on to everything, because the body doesn't want to give up calories either. It wants to keep them there. And that's what LPL, so lipoprotein lipase, comes in. This is something that's sitting on your cells. What it does, it just wants to bring fat. It just wants to bring anything into the cells that it can. But this is really regulated by estrogen. So if your estrogen levels are up, then you're going to be able to kind of keep off some of this for a little bit. And that's why you'll see a difference in men and women. Is when men are younger, they tend to be leaner. Higher levels of testosterone, this is going to help them to burn their fat off. With women, they have higher levels of LPL receptors on their hips versus men, and men have more on their stomach. These are two common things that you'll see. Men storing the fat on their stomach, women storing the fat on their hips. This changes though as people age. As you get older, the estrogens are going to decrease in women, testosterone is going to decrease in the men. They're going to kind of even out. As you see people getting older, the body composition of men and women really looks a lot more similar than it did when they were younger. So the dominance with the hormones is going to be huge here. So if you're not able to regulate that lipoprotein lipase by the estrogen, well, now your body's going to be sucking it in, taking in all the fat, taking in all the carbs. And there's not much you can do about it unless you're controlling your estrogen levels, your testosterone levels through your diet. Taubes, I don't think he agrees that you can control your hormone levels as much. I think that this is something that, through a clean diet, really can be achieved. Is it that you're never going to hit any fall off? No. As you age, it's going to change. Testosterone, estrogen, they're both going to drop. But I think by eating really as clean as you can and as best you can for your body, you're going to be able to take care of that. But to what extent, I don't know. I feel like that was something that he really didn't agree with. But going on with LPL, exercise. Exercise is going to decrease your LPL levels. So you're going to be drawing less of everything in. Not going to be building up as much. But then you have another one called HSL, hormone suppressing lipase. This is going to be pumping the fat out of your cells. This is what says, all right, we want to burn this off. Let's ship it out of the cell. So the HSL, as that starts being stimulated through the exercise, you can be rushing all the fat cells out to be burned. Problem is, if your insulin levels are already high, insulin is going to shut that down. It's not going to let anything out to be burned. So he doesn't get into too much with pre-post-workout nutrition, but in this theory, if you're eating huge carbohydrate dose before you work out, then you're not going to be able to burn that stored fat. You're only going to be burning all the glycogen, actually even just the free-form glycogen that's in your blood, because insulin is just storing everything else. It won't let anything out of the fat cell. So you have that going. Big reason. Then you can't burn any fat when the insulin's in our blood. One thing I don't like is